From the very beginning, 25 years ago, the network considered this character an audience turnoff. No one ever imagined that Gene Roddenberry's creation of this half-breed Vulcan with pointed ears and quarter-moon brows would steal the show. But Leonard Nimoy did just that when he took on the role of Spock in Star Trek.
Something bother you, Mr. Spock?
Frankly, I was rather dismayed by your use of the term half-breed. You must admit, it is an unsophisticated expression.
The show was canceled in 1969, but has lived on in syndication and was the launching pad for Leonard's career. He went on to appear on Broadway and has played everyone from Sherlock Holmes to King Arthur. He's even marketed his singing skills on his album, The Touch of Leonard Nimoy. He began his career in what he calls highly burnable films during the 50s and 60s. Among them was a co-starring role in The Balcony.
I didn't ask for a woman. You're debasing the whole thing. You'll make me look ridiculous.
It would be on that same big screen where Leonard would mark both his return to his signature role,
Live long and prosper, Lieutenant.
and the beginning of a new career. He's directed 2 of the Star Trek films, including Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home.
Do you mind stopping that damn noise?
The sins of all our fathers picked up on us the sun, the only choice we're given.
That job led to his next assignment as director of the box office hit 3 Men and a Baby.
Correct.
But Nimoy is equally proud of his work on the TV movie Never Forgets, about an Auschwitz survivor.
I was not gassed. That's why I'm here today, and they are not. Anybody who was inside the gas chamber couldn't be alive today to talk about it, could he?
The child of Jewish immigrants, Nimoy started acting while still in elementary school and hasn't stopped. He's back as Spock in Star Trek VI, which is said to be the final voyage for the Enterprise crew.
We haven't fired.
According to our databanks, we have.
But it won't be the final curtain for Nimoy. Here at his Bel Air home, he and his wife Susan are rehearsing for their appearance in the play Love Letters. But Nimoy says no matter what roles may follow, it's the role of his Vulcan friend, Mr. Spock, that has left the greatest mark both professionally and personally.
The person you are now as an actor and as a director, how do you see yourself as you began this career?
I always had a great passion. I felt a calling. I was probably not as talented as I thought I might be. I was probably not as naturally gifted as others. And I worked hard at trying to find ways of elevating material and people's lives through what we do. And I don't mean necessarily just educate, but I really mean enrich. One of the greatest things that happens to me, and it happens to me more often than I probably deserve, is that people come to me and say these wonderful things like, "You've given us a lot of pleasure. Thank you," that kind of thing. I'm very touched by that, very touched by it. I feel it's a great honor to be given that opportunity to touch people's lives in such a positive way that they want to pour it back out.
Are you grateful to Mr. Spock?
Oh, to Gene Roddenberry and to my fellow actors and actresses and to the writers and the directors who make it possible to walk in and be well paid to do this kind of work. I'm grateful to all of them.
What have you taken from Spock, the character, in your own life?
Wow. Immeasurable. There's that great moment that Bill Shatner played in Star Trek II when we had the death scene for Spock, when Spock died in that movie. And Kirk, in delivering the eulogy, says, of all the souls that I have met in my travels, his was the most human. Very touching moment. Something very powerful about that statement, because Spock would probably say, I find that an insult. But there was something that we would call a humanity about this character. And for me, it was a great experience to live with that for a long time.
Are you more rational courtesy of Spock?
Sure. There's that, of course, that whole logic issue, the ability to set the emotion aside and perceive things logically. I slip every now and then, But and Spock would say, my, you're getting emotional here, Mr. Nimoy.
Did you create the character of Spock, the persona that we see now?
But it was a fortunate combination of a lot of good things that came together. Gene's concept of this half human, half Vulcan was very important as a basis for the character. And I learned, I adapted a certain kind of speech, a certain kind of posture, certain things that are mannerisms of mine, the raised eyebrow.
I was going to say, you can speak volumes just with raising an eyebrow. Some of your best work was raising the eyebrow.
Those things would happen. And the writers and the producers if they're on their toes, and they were, when they would see that stuff in the dailies, they'd say, whoa, that's fun. Let's set up moments where he can do that. You see, they start to write for that.
In doing Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, is this your goodbye to Spock?
Yeah, I think it's a goodbye for all of us. It isn't just a Spock. It's not a Spock scenario. It's a Star Trek Enterprise and crew. And it is the end. It's the final chapter for the original Star Trek crew.
When you say it's the end, it's the final chapter for the Star Trek crew, there are a lot of people who will go, oh, no, it can't be that. And looking into your eyes as you tell me this, it seems like it is going to be the end.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to be coaxed back into it, are you?
It's not a matter of coaxing, I don't think. If it were a matter of coaxing, we could probably be coaxed. Mm-hmm. We've been coaxed before. I don't think that's what it's really about this time, John. I think it has become time to do this, to wrap this up.
When you were a kid, growing up in Boston, did you aspire to being an actor? You were in an Italian neighborhood, right?
I grew up in a very mixed, wonderful neighborhood called the West End in Boston, an inner city tenement apartment neighborhood, very mixed, Italian, Jewish, Irish, some Poles, some blacks. It was a great education in human relations. And I found Boston to be a very rich, and still is, a very rich, fertile atmosphere in which to grow up for the arts and for history. And for $2 or $3, you could go sit in the balcony and see all the big shows that were going to hit Broadway next fall. And I would go. I started acting when I was 8 years old in Boston, neighborhood theater, amateur theater. And I continued to do that until I was a teenager, and then eventually came to California.
A lot of times, kids who are very passionate about films or about the stage will write, whether it's a short story for school or just for themselves. Were you doing any writing when you were a child?
No. Never thought of myself as anything but an actor. As a matter of fact, for many years, while I was acting or struggling to build an acting career, there were times when people in various situations would say to me, you should be directing. I took it as an insult. My inner response was, what's the matter? There's something wrong with my acting. Why can't I be an actor? I want to be an actor. Don't talk to me about directing. And writing was the same.
When you were here in Los Angeles and doing acting and doing whatever jobs it took to make ends meet, did you see yourself as a certain type of actor, as maybe a stage actor or film or television or even commercials?
I saw myself as a character actor. That was my perception of where my work would fall. It would be in playing people other than myself. I never thought of myself as a leading man. I always thought I will find my work in playing varied kinds of people. And I enjoyed doing that. And then along came Spock, and the rest, as they say, is...
Your grandfather, aren't you?
Yeah.
What's that like?
4.5 times as we sit here. It's great. It's great. These wonderful young people are in my life, and they come and they stay with us. And it's true, you can be much more relaxed about their foibles because they're leaving shortly. It's great. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Does it lead you to embrace your mortality, though, all of a sudden?
Yes. Yes, it does that for me. It makes every day more precious.
Do you feel like you have lived long and prospered?
Well, I hope I have a ways to go yet, John. I hope, although this may be goodbye for Star Trek and the Enterprise group and Spock and those wonderful people, I hope this is not goodbye for me. Let's sit here and talk again 10 years from now.